Hey there! Thanks for tuning in to the channel. I can't wait to share some spooky stories with you today. A story for you about a night shift at a store that takes a terrifying turn, all thanks to an unexpected visitor. Let me know what you think, and if you'd like to hear stories set in other places or with different frights, just let me know in the comments. The fluorescent lights hummed their usual monotonous tune, casting a sterile glow over the aisles of bargains galore. It was 2 a.m., the lull of the night shift. Sarah, a college student perpetually low on funds, was meticulously restocking the instant ramen section when a flicker of movement caught my eye. A sleek black cat, fur like obsidian, sauntered in from the automatic doors. Now, I wasn't superstitious, but there was something unnerving about the way it moved. Deliberate, almost arrogant. It locked eyes with me, those emerald orbs shimmering with an unsettling intelligence, before padding down an aisle and disappearing. A shiver ran down my spine, an irrational prickle that tightened my throat. Suddenly, the fluorescent lights flickered and died, plunging the store into near darkness. Only the emergency exit signs cast an eerie red glow. Panic clawed at me. The phone was by the front counter, useless. I fumbled for a flashlight in the back, my heart hammering against my ribs. That's when the first strange sound began. A low scratching, like claws on metal, coming from the canned goods aisle. Armed with a flickering flashlight beam, I crept closer. The scratching intensified, accompanied by a guttural growl that sent fresh chills down my spine. Something was definitely in there, something big. The night stretched into an eternity. The scratching, the growling, punctuated by the occasional crash, became a terrifying symphony of the unknown. I found myself huddled behind a counter, clutching a forgotten can of baked beans as a makeshift weapon. My mind a whirlwind of childhood ghost stories and prayers I hadn't uttered in years. Please, I whispered, the word heavy with dread, just get me through the night. Finally, the first sliver of pre-dawn light peeked through the grimy windows. Emboldened, flashlight clutched tight, I ventured out. The canned goods aisle was empty, only dented cans lying on the floor hinting at the struggle that had taken place. The back door stood ajar, a telltale sign of escape. My phone buzzed on the counter, the familiar chime jolting me back to reality. It was my manager, frantic about the commotion in the store. My voice, shaky and raw, filled him in. As the police swarmed the scene, a sense of overwhelming relief washed over me. I may never know what prowled the aisles that night, but one thing was certain. A black cat crossing my path wouldn't scare me ever again. Not after a night like that. News reports later confirmed it. A local raccoon, notorious for their masked bandit reputation, had managed to sneak into the store and wreaked havoc. The story became a source of amusement for my friends and family, but the memory of that long, terrifying night remained etched in my mind. A reminder that sometimes the most mundane things could take a terrifying turn. And maybe, just maybe, there was a little bit of truth to that old superstition after all. The experience wasn't without its lingering after-effects. For weeks afterwards, every rustle of bags or squeak of a floorboard sent my heart into overdrive. Sleep came in fits and starts, haunted by nightmares of glowing red eyes and menacing growls. I even considered quitting my night shift job, the trauma that night so vivid. But financial constraints are a powerful motivator, and slowly I began to reclaim my sense of normalcy. One evening, while restocking the pet food aisle, a familiar sleek form brushed against my leg. This time, it was an undeniably adorable kitten, all wide eyes and playful swats. I knelt down, hesitant at first, then cautiously offered it a finger to sniff. The kitten nudged it with a wet nose, purring contentedly. A small smile tugged at the corners of my lips. Maybe, just maybe, not all encounters with black cats were destined to be terrifying. The neon glow of the Lone Star Snacks sign cast an unnatural pink hue on the dusty cacti outside. It was a typical Tuesday night in Desolation Wells, Arizona, a one-horse town where tumbleweeds outnumbered people. I, Ethan, a wannabe writer perpetually battling writer's block, was counting crickets at the cash register when a blur of midnight fur darted past the automatic doors. A black jackrabbit, its ears twitching like radar, shot down the chip aisle and vanished. Now, I wasn't one for superstitions, but the jackrabbit's sudden appearance felt ominous. Especially since the rusty wind chime outside started to play a discordant melody, the clanging echoing in the stillness. Then, the power flickered, plunging the store into darkness. The backup generator sputtered and died, leaving only the faint glow of the dying desert moon filtering through the windows. Panic clawed at my throat. My phone, useless without a signal, mocked me from my pocket. Stumbling towards the back storeroom, I fumbled for a flashlight, the silence broken only by my ragged breaths. Just as I found it, a guttural shriek tore through the night, sending a jolt of terror down my spine. It wasn't human, that much was certain. It was a sound that belonged to the wild, a predator on the hunt. The desert night stretched on like an eternity. Each shriek, closer this time, fueled my fear. I barricaded myself inside the storeroom, shelves stacked high in front of the rickety door. Childhood memories of coyote attacks from desert folklore flooded my mind. Every rustle of the wind outside morphing into a menacing creature. Clutching a rusty toolbox, the only weapon I could find, I prayed for the first sign of dawn. Finally, a sliver of red peeked over the horizon, painting the desert landscape in vibrant hues of orange and gold. Emboldened by the light, I cautiously emerged from my hiding place. The store was in disarray, knocked over displays and shredded chip bags littering the floor. A gaping hole near the back door confirmed my worst fears. The creature had escaped. My phone buzzed back to life, a signal bar finally gracing the screen. It was my manager, his voice laced with worry after receiving the automated store alarm notification. My shaky voice relayed the night's events, a mixture of disbelief and fear coloring my words. The local sheriff arrived, a weathered man with a handlebar mustache and a skeptical glint in his eye. He surveyed the scene, muttering about desert critters and overactive imaginations. Yet, the claw marks on the door and the scattered feathers near the back door hinted at a more sinister explanation. A territorial hawk, known for their aggressive dive bomb attacks, had likely mistaken the neon sign for prey. The news crew that arrived later that day turned my experience into a local legend. The night the hawk attacked Lone Star Snacks. Tourists flocked to the store, eager to hear my story and buy Hawk Attack Survivor t-shirts. The experience left its mark. Every rustle of the wind sounded like a predator's approach, and sleep came in short, restless bursts. I even considered quitting my job, the trauma still raw. But one evening, as I restocked the jerky section, a majestic silhouette soared across the desert sunset. It was a hawk, its wings catching the last rays of the day. This time, instead of fear, a strange sense of awe filled me. Maybe, just maybe, the encounter wasn't an attack, but a territorial display. And maybe, just maybe, even the vast emptiness of the desert held a strange kind of beauty. A raw, untamed spirit that demanded respect. The experience undeniably changed me. The once monotonous nights at Lone Star Snacks were now tinged with a newfound awareness of the desert's wild inhabitants. I started carrying a small camera with me, capturing the breathtaking sunrises and the resilience of the desert flora. The writing block, once a constant companion, loosened its grip. Inspired by the hawk encounter, I began crafting a story about a lonesome gas station attendant and his unlikely connection with a majestic bird of prey. The vast emptiness of the desert, once a source of fear, became a canvas for my imagination. Rain lashed against the windows of Rusty's Bait and Tackle, the wind howling like a banshee in the storm-battered Louisiana bayou. I, Maya, a college student desperate for summer cash, was meticulously sorting through a tangled mess of fishing hooks when a flicker of movement caught my eye. A shadow, impossibly large for a swamp rat, darted across the flickering fluorescent lights and vanished into the cluttered aisles. There wasn't a single black cat in the entire bayou, or so the superstitious locals claimed. My heart pounded in my chest, a primal fear clawing its way up my throat. Just then, the power sputtered and died, plunging the store into a suffocating darkness. The only light came from the occasional flash of lightning, illuminating the dusty shelves and casting grotesque shadows that danced on the walls like malevolent spirits. Panic swelled. The phone by the counter was useless, the storm having knocked out the cell towers. Desperate for any source of light, I fumbled for the emergency box, my shaking hands finally finding a box of matches. The meager flame illuminated a gruesome sight. A trail of feathers and scattered fishing lures lay on the floor, leading deeper into the darkness, like a macabre invitation. The night stretched on like a fever dream. The storm raged on, the howling wind punctuated by an unearthly screech that sent chills down my spine. Each flash of lightning revealed the disarray. Overturned bait boxes, fishing rods snapped in half like twigs, a scene ripped from a nightmare. I huddled behind a stack of life jackets, a rusty fishing hook my only weapon, my mind replaying childhood stories of swamp monsters and vengeful spirits. The silence between the screeches was worse, a suffocating emptiness that pressed against my ears, whispering promises of unseen horrors. Finally, when the first tendrils of dawn finally peeked through the rain-streaked windows, it revealed a scene of devastation. The air hung heavy with the musky scent of swamp water and something else, feral and predatory. A giant gash in the window confirmed my worst fears. Whatever it was, it had escaped. My phone flickered to life, a single bar of service mocking my isolation. I called my boss, my voice trembling as I described the night's events. When the sheriff arrived, his weathered face creased with skepticism. I felt a surge of anger. But his skepticism vanished when he saw the claw marks on the window and the scattered remains of a giant blue heron, its majestic blue feathers shredded and stained with blood. The news crew that arrived later painted the event as a Cajun chupacabra encounter. Tourists flocked to the store, eager for a thrill, but their presence did little to quell the terror that still clung to me like a shroud. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves outside the window sent shivers down my spine. For weeks, sleep was a stranger, my dreams haunted by the chilling screech and the unsettling darkness of the storm. One evening, as I restocked the fishing line, a low croak echoed from outside. Hesitantly, I peered out the window. A solitary blue heron stood on the edge of the swamp, its magnificent plumage catching the setting sun. But this time, there was no fear, only a wary respect. The experience had changed me. The bayou, once a place of primal fear, became a source of fascination. I started carrying a notebook and a small camera, sketching the beauty of the swamp and its inhabitants. My writing, once stagnant, flowed freely, fueled by the night of terror and the resilience of the bayou. The encounter with the monstrous heron wasn't just a test of survival. It was a glimpse into the raw power of nature, a reminder that the swamp held a delicate balance, easily upset by human intrusion. Rusty's Bait and Tackle might never be the same, the shelves forever marked with the scars of that night. But I, Maya, emerged from the darkness, forever changed by the storm and the creature that stalked the night. The bayou's secrets remained, a whisper in the wind, a chilling reminder of the night I stared into the face of terror and somehow survived. Thanks for watching the stories. Those were definitely some spooky encounters. A shadowy intruder at Bargains Galore, a feathered frenzy at Lone Star Snacks, and a Cajun chupacabra at Rusty's Bait and Tackle. If you like these stories, don't forget to subscribe for more. I'll be sharing more tales of terror from all over the United States. So hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you never miss a scare.